Hello everyone and welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 episode 2. As you can see, I've got all of my vehicles lined up nice and neatly. That took me a really long time, especially the trailer. These dual axle ones are so difficult to reverse. Anyway, what I've done is I've lined them all up, and as you can see on the map, they are all neatly planted growing canola. So if I wander over to these fields, you can see needs rolling, needs lime, and it is growing weeds. And you can see the yield bonus is plus 35%. Not entirely sure what that's coming from because I definitely haven't fertilized it at all. In the future, I'll work a bit more to increase that yield bonus, but for now, we learn the charm of Farming Simulator, and that is when I press 8 100 times, you can see in the top right that arrow underneath the time is going up. So I've increased time to 360 times, and now we wait for these crops to grow. I am not going to film all of this, so catch you when either the price of wheat increases, or as you can see here in the time saving in Jan for both of these, it's going to get a lot closer to that $13,000 as opposed to the $8,000 it is now. I might sell off some of those too. But until something interesting happens, I'll catch you then. The fun of Farming Simulator. Okay, welcome back. It is really early in the morning, and I've got my flashlight on. As you can see, it started to grow canola, but these plants that are sticking out the top, those are weeds. So, it is time. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner, it says weed small, and then at the very end it says weeder. So unfortunately I could just let the weeds grow, but I really don't want to, because I can buy a weeder for not very much. This little one is going to be perfectly fine. 6 meters, not huge, but if we have a look, it's the same size as the header, twice as wide as the seeder. So let's take our small tractor and drive on out to the shop. So you do have to tend to your crops pretty well. I'm just going to speed up time a bit now so that it don't have to do this at 0 dark stupid in the morning. Up I go. Generally I like to start at 7, so I'm going to go till 7. Now, it does take a while for everything to grow in this game, so I'm not really... As you can see, they've started to grow weeds, but if I turn off weeds, there's nothing, and they're growing as well. So it will take a while for them to grow past this stage, so it's not a huge deal right now. Anyway, let's jump through to the weeder. Let's just buy this one. That's a really good price, honestly. That is a weeder and a seeder. So if you wanted to plant grass, but that's perfect. Really cheap. Horsepower requirements. Not going to stress my machines. Not going to need like a really big weight on the front of it. I could go this one, which is 150 and 15.2, but it's a bit more expensive. So for now, I am going to buy one of these. Now what you can do is you can lease these. but it has a per work day and a per work hour. One thing I didn't show in the last episode is I ended up buying time moves real quite fast at 300%. So it's 9:40. Got a bit of a sleep in. The one thing I did end up doing in the last episode that I didn't show is I ended up leasing a stone picker to get all of the stones off the field as I harvested, just to save my things. And then I bought a forager wagon, which allowed me to gather some of the straw that was left over from the wheat. So straw's useful when it comes to cattle. It's also just another thing on the ground that you can sell, so might as well pick it up. Eventually, I'll just quickly stop here. I hate this trailer. It's also a bit small, 8 cubic meters. Huh. I didn't think it could carry straw. Anyway, this can carry straw, but it's 8 cubic meters and it only has a maximum weight. That might be the dry weight. It might not have a weight rating actually, but I tend to lean towards something like one of the slightly larger trailers, like the Case, which has 12 cubic meters, 22, and expandable. So you can buy these extensions just to extend it up a bit, depending on what size, all sorts of stuff. Does need a bit more power to move it around easily, but as you can see, this can carry stones and lime and straw, all sorts of stuff, whereas some others can't, especially the auger wagons. Something like this big pace setter can only take a few things. I believe this Case can even take potatoes and root vegetables. Fantastic. So I'll probably end up upgrading to one of these, and then in the future I can upgrade even further. But for now, that is fine. So essentially what I tried to say there is, when it comes to January and the price of the different things go up, the price of stones, the price of wheat, and the price of straw goes up, I can sell those. But now it is time to make sure my crops are nice and healthy. Now, one thing in this game that isn't quite realistic, if you clear up crops once, they don't come back for the rest of that harvest. So let's get started. I'm just going to hire a helper. You can see it also clears out the grass, which is pretty cool detail. So if I get out, let the helper go, you can see here it's growing small weeds, and you can see them in the field now that it's light. But behind the weeder, no weeds to be found. Beautiful. Now, one thing I do have on is crop destruction. So if you drive too fast on crops, or if you accidentally drift into crops, it can actually hurt your crop yield and kill crops, which is true, because if you drive a tractor on crops, it'll kill the crops. One thing I do want to say is, if I jump down to this tab, you can see everything, all of the expenses and everything. If I jump down into this tab though, people have contracts. So essentially, they don't want to harvest their own field or sow their own seeds or fertilize their own fields. So you can get hired to do work for other people. That's a $25,000 job, but it's a 13.9 hectare field. I am standing on field... I'm standing on field 40, and if I go into field information... Huh. Field 40. Not sure. It is not a 13 hectare field. If I look at the job, which field is that? 26. So if I jump out, where is field 26? That. I think that's bigger than all three of my fields combined. Now, one thing I did find out, which is a bit cheaty, if you look at this harvesting job for that $21,500 for potatoes, you can hire the harvester and all that for $800. You can hire all of these things. That's what they recommend you use. There's a bit of overlap for exactly how much they take from the job. So you only have to deliver 95% of the produce, and that's potatoes, something that you need a specialty harvester for, and something that you need when keeping your pigs healthy. Crop roots, either potatoes or sugar beet. So you need some of all of these. Corn or sorghum. I still don't know how to pronounce that. Wheat and barley, soybeans, canola, and sunflowers, potato or sugar beet. I can get most of these. I can get that. I can get those two. I can get soybeans, canola. I can't get sunflowers, but I can just buy another harvester part. So you can buy pig food, but it gets expensive. So if I can do the occasional potato harvesting job and take the scraps that are left in the trailer, you only need about 6 or 5% of potatoes. So waste not, want not, right? For now, I'm just going to do these because I don't think these silos actually have. If I jump through to the construction menu, what silos do I have? I have a Farmer 400 plus an OB 1000. If I jump through, okay, so this is what I have. You can actually buy another Farmer 100, or what I actually have is a Farmer. You can buy another one of these. Anyway, but I don't think that actually gives me any root vegetables. Storage. I believe... To be entirely honest, I'm not 100% sure. But I was under the impression that this doesn't give root vegetable like potatoes, because they require a much different handling procedure. I might be wrong, and if I am, that would be great, because I could store a few potatoes in here. This is a silage pit. That's where I've decided to put the stones. And in this silage pit, I can fill it with chaff, and then I can compact it and get silage, and silage is really useful for raising cows. So there's all of these things to consider. One thing I might even do is lease the potato planter and potato harvester for one season. Because if you can see, I can lease it for $10,000, $4,000 plus $6,000 a day. So it'll cost me about $50K. or I can buy it for 200,000 and sell it for another 100,000. I'm about to get hit by a trailer. A tractor. Words. So what I might do is get one big harvest of potatoes. I can even buy it gets real complicated. I can even buy a field that has potatoes already growing on it. If I turn off potatoes, that field, and that field will have potatoes on them. Nothing down here, but we can just wait for old mate to throw down some potatoes. And then I can just harvest those. So, but one thing is, if you lease equipment for this job, you can't actually... You know what? I'm going to do that now. Borrow items.
Hi all, Future Matt here. Just wanted to interject. I got all of the weeding done and managed to fulfill the contract on the potatoes. As you can see, my money jumped to 70k, and I even have a nice pile of potatoes. No potatoes aren't accepted in this, which is a bit sad. And all the weeding's done. I have the weeder, yada yada yada. But just doing this video because I ended up filming 3 hours of content. So if you're interested, I can throw that in B-roll and do that later. But if not, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time to hopefully get harvest of all of this canola. See you then.